So you talk about your wife. How did she cope with all of this? She stood by your side
Yeah.
through thick and thin, I guess.
Hmm. She did, like no one else had in the past. I had been in and out of relationships, and certainly, to my understanding, why they would leave. Couldn't keep dealing with the mess and the chaos that I basically came with. And then I met this woman in Arlington, Alexandria, who walked into an office where I was the lab tech, and no one could draw blood from her mother. And so she came into my office, and I got the blood on the first try. I was very successful at that, and I was very prolific at venipuncture. And so I met her, we dated for many years, and she put up with some of the worst things that I had actually done in my life and put anybody through. And so she stayed with me throughout all the different incarcerations, and I don't know why or how she did it.
Have you ever asked her why?
No, I'm afraid to. But here's what I do know. My last incarceration, I used to say the same thing over and over. You know, next time was going to be different. This is what I'm going to do. I always had a plan. I would talk the talk, but I could never do the walk. Well, this time she made it very clear to me that she loved me, but I wasn't going to be able to come back to that same thing. So she basically put the house up for sale. The only good part was that in 2008 we were in a recession, so she couldn't sell the house.
That was your saving grace.
That was my saving grace, exactly.
Wow.
And I knew she meant business, and
yeah.
so I didn't want to lose her. And she meant and still means everything to me. And so she was there for me when no one else could have been.
That's love.
Yeah.
That's love. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So moving forward, fast forward a little bit, when we talk about you're continuing to meet challenges and you're trying to move ahead in your future. Well, let's go back to your education.
Yeah.
So what were your educational goals, and then how did you reach them, or have you?
Excellent question. So as I mentioned, I started out just going to get a certificate for 7 months. But at the graduation, the people who were getting an associate's degree were on the other side of the room. And I looked at them and I realized they weren't smarter than me. So it became necessary that I pursued the associates. And I was thinking that, okay, this would be the place where I would stop. But at that graduation, I saw people who had gotten bachelor degrees, and I thought to myself, if they did it, so can I. So I thought the bachelor degree would be something, you know, I would walk away with and be happy and satisfied with. But as God would have it, He made available an opportunity that allowed me to get a master's degree. And here's the blessing and the benefit behind it. Many people have bachelor degrees, and so the competition was very difficult getting jobs. Only about 8% of the people in the country have a master's degree and an advanced degree. And so it actually separated me from the herd, and with the challenges of my background, it became the spokesperson, or what knocked down doors or opened doors that I would not have been able to walk through without the master's degree. So the education is the key. It is the one particular thing that I was able to accomplish that has basically set me on a path for success.
Wonderful. So you got your master's.
Yes.
How did you get your master's? Let's talk about this. I'm going to talk about how you got your master's and a little bit about, for about 5 minutes.
Sure.
We're going to talk a little bit about how you did get your master's and also how you met FAILSAFE-ERA. How did we connect?
Absolutely. Because FAILSAFE plays a significant role from the moment that I met them and still to this day. Now, when I got my master's degree, it didn't just happen very easily. When I went to do my internships, the organization, the school had to do a background check. And so when they did the background check, they kicked me out of college. I was probably 1 semester away from graduating. Sorry.
No
So
sorry.
one of the things that we can see is that there are times where, you know, the pain is still there. It's still tough. regardless of how long ago it was.
You know why? You hear me?
Yeah, thank you. So that was probably the worst thing that I experienced in that process, because I had made it that far for them to expel me. Needless to say, I made it through it. I was enrolled in college again, and I was allowed to complete my internship, and then I finished. And when I walked across that stage, I had always felt like that would be the moment I would kind of feel like I made it. But then it became very apparent in the middle of that stage that it was just the beginning. And so that became a different understanding and a different process in my life. Prior to that, though, to your question about how I met FAILSAFE, I met a person who I had a lot of faith in giving me positive information, and this woman introduced me to the scholarship availability and opportunity. And so with 2 days left in that, I think it was even less than 24 hours, I had to submit my application. I had to write a paragraph or something demonstrating why I should be chosen for that. And I was successful, and I received that scholarship, and it has been an honor. But more importantly, what it did for my life is it gave me a sense of belonging. I became a part of an organization that was genuine, that cared about my needs, my success, and my struggles. And what I would say to anybody, what it will do is hold you accountable, and it holds you responsible. So I couldn't come and talk the talk without walking the walk. And it meant, and still does, it means a great deal on how I conduct myself in the community, because now I represent an organization who has a reputation that is sound and is looked at. And so what it did for me, it helped my decisions. It helped me make positive and good decisions.
Well, I tell you what, we could not have picked or been honored to have the best first scholarship recipient.
Thank you.
You set the tone for many, many people. And so the bar is high
Yes.
for others to follow in your footsteps to become successful. How many people with, how many felonies?
I committed count.
Okay, but that many felonies to go and get their master's degree in counseling,
Mental health.
mental health counseling.
Yes,
Not everybody gets to do this,
that's correct.
and not do many people want to
Right.
after walking through incarceration and so on and so forth. I would say that you are an anomaly.
Thank you.
You are just wonderful. You are a great example
Thank you.
of hope for our future. And I thank you that you did apply for that scholarship.
Yes.
Because you are helping the rest of the community to see, you will help the rest of the community to see that that we need to be able to help guys and gals as they walk through this process.
Thank you.
So what I want to kind of talk about now, Royce, kind of switch over. Thank you for sharing that information. I want to talk about, you know, what advice you would give to other returning citizens. And I know we've had this conversation about returning citizens and how we really need to get out of our past.
Yeah.
But I want you to just kind of talk about some advice that you would give to other returning citizens.